All right. Salutations, Lior. Lior, you ask, what inspired you to start with this business? And that's talking about my business. So I'm actually going to tell you a little bit of a story. We're going to go back in time a little bit here. And I want you to imagine me as a middle school student. And as a middle school student, kind of a round, pudgy guy, like 5'5", 5'6" at that time, who just really likes drawing, like really likes making art, is really enjoying life, drawing and painting and doing all these cool things that, as a young teenager are fun. It's creating, it's imaginative. That was me. That's what I was like. And my parents really believed in supporting me and fostering this natural talent, this proclivity that I had towards art, towards creating things. My dad's also sort of a business-minded guy. So he's like, we can actually shape this to be something that is effective for Jeremy's future, for my future. And because of that, my mom enrolled me in a arts high school for my freshman year of high school, where I spent about half my day doing general math, science, those sorts of classes. And I spent the other half of my day studying art history, studying different artists, trying to actually learning to emulate their style, learning how to paint like them, learning how to see like them, learning about the elements and principles of design. People don't realize, particularly in American culture, where I'm in the United States, that art in general is about capturing someone's attention and directing them where to look and what to pay attention to. Paintings, even the Sistine Chapel is an exercise in where to put your attention, your eyes, what draws your attention, and then moving it through the flow of the story that in that case, Michelangelo wants to tell you. Even the Statue of David draws your attention to certain places, certain keys, and it is very much about storytelling. It is very much about controlling and drawing someone's attention and controlling where they go and what they say at different times. Leonardo da Vinci was a master at this in painting, and in actually creating his inventions and everything else. He understood a lot of structure to things. Even musicians, dancers, all of the arts are a way to draw people in and get them really to lean forward. That's what art is for. My junior year of high school, I actually moved to a different art high school that actually spent even more time in my art studies, even more time. That was actually where I started figure drawing for the first time. It was the only school in the state I was in, Arizona, that was allowing figure drawing for high school students. It was amazing. I learned a lot about anatomy. I studied anatomy and physiology of the human body, and I learned actually how our muscles work and our organs work and systems like that, because that influences how the outside looks and acts and feels. And I learned how some of these things start to rely on the other. In high school, I discovered design, and I taught myself Quark Express and Photoshop. We had some of the very first digital cameras. This was 1995. We had some of the very first digital cameras that were $40,000 cameras that were barely 1 megapixel, but I learned how to use them, and I used those to take pictures, and I created the very first yearbook, the first 2 yearbooks. I learned all about print production. I taught myself about print production and graphic design and all of these software programs, and I produced yearbooks for the school. I graduated valedictorian in high school, and also won an award because of this self-education, this in-depth education I gave myself about print production. From there, I went to design college, and I spent 3 years, and I got my bachelor's degree in design college and graduated valedictorian, won best portfolio. At that point in time, I was already working as an intern at an ad agency. And when I graduated with my degree, I became the art director of the ad agency. So I was interfacing with clients. We were doing discovery sessions. I was facilitating a lot of research to figure out what's right in branding different, in this case, properties, because that ad agency was a boutique agency in Phoenix, concentrating on hotels, travel, resorts, things like that. And so I spent a lot of time talking with different properties, learning about their architecture, learning about, sometimes special architects, sometimes just special features, and how to utilize concepts of space and focus in design and branding, and then in marketing and advertising and the campaigns that we did for all of our local clients. When I moved on from the ad agency, I joined the pharmaceutical world in-house. And gosh, that was like a rapid, I went from advertising is like a machine gun job. Like you just, like every single job happens very quickly. And that was the exact same way in the pharmaceutical world. Just everything. We handled dozens of brands for a company called Medicis that was both aesthetic and dermatologic brands, top of the line brands like Restylane, Ziana, and Solodine, which I believe are still out there today. And we did everything in-house. So it was photo shoots and video shoots. I got to really art direct a lot of the things that were going on for the brands, working with the brand managers hand in hand, just a lot of the same facilitation, a lot of discovery, a lot of exploration from an art design, an art director and design perspective, very hands-on in that whole position. And my creative director was David Morgan at the time, genius guy, very much a mentor to me, teaching me about, it's funny because in the ad agency, it was, just get things done. It's about big headlines, it's about bullet points, it's about an image that grabs attention. And in the pharmaceutical world, it was about, yes, we need those things, but we also need to have counterbalance and safety information and prescribing information so that patients get all of the information that the FDA requires. And we have to make it look sophisticated. We have to make it feel top of the line to make sure that it hits the right audience in the right way. So these different combinations really affected how I perceive marketing, how I perceive the experiences that people have when they look at a brand, when they look at the things that you represent through websites and through everything that you're doing. When I moved up to Seattle, which is where I am right now, I joined a software company as their senior designer and started a 5-year project of rebranding the entire global company from Siegel Scientific to Bartender Software. And that involved a brand identity shift. It actually involved values, which they didn't really have before. It was just guided by the CEO, and he turned it over to a new guy who brought a whole new level of values, who brought a whole new level of employee engagement that we then had to create internal campaigns as well as external campaigns around. I started a internal design team, which is a cross-department team to get research into user journeys. What is the customer journey when they're finding out about our company, when they are learning who we are, when they're learning what the products do and all the abilities and all the capabilities and what they want to accomplish, and ultimately how the software saved them money because of how simple and integrated it was with everything. And that was a fantastic experience. Really everything, marketing, branding, video, live events, trade shows, just combining all one thing. And as senior designer, I was art directing all of that sort of stuff. In 2017, while still working at that company, I went ahead and went back to school full-time. So I was working full-time for this company and doing school full-time. And I got my master's degree in design. So I have an undergraduate in design and a master's degree in design. It's quite expansive because it builds on everything I have learned before: marketing, advertising, art direction, understanding the flow of information, getting attention, controlling, really influencing how people read through videos, through photography, through illustration, the stories that we tell. And all of this stuff is kind of what I've put together in terms of behavioral branding. Now, on top of that, I have to kind of back off a little bit here because this is where emotions hit me. In 2017, same year I was doing all the other stuff, my mom passed away from heart disease. And I was so busy with my master's degree, so busy with my work, so busy with everything. I visited her several times in Phoenix from Seattle, but she was not there to see me get my master's degree. She was not there to see me walk down that aisle and graduate valedictorian for the 3rd time. She wasn't there to see me get the Design Director's Award for my work with Cage Steel Panther. And it still hits me. And I was very close with my mom. And when COVID hit, I sort of had like this calm lake effect in my life where all of a sudden I would look down into myself and all of that sadness hit me. And it was also the same point that my business at the time, because of the pandemic, just kind of crumbled away because the clients that I had were not sustainable in the pandemic. I mean, there's so many small businesses that just folded in the pandemic, and that was very hard for myself, for my family, for everything. And I took this opportunity to understand why so many people can be successful in business, be making tons of money, be exceptionally wealthy, and be very unhappy. How they can take the steps and do the things and have the luck and be moving forward, but inside feel unfulfilled, feel empty. Because that's kind of how I was feeling after my mother's passing. Things just, it felt very empty. And I read a lot of books about how the mind works, how cognition works, about quantum physics. Honestly, Quantum Creativity is a fantastic book about the universe and the possibilities and what we bring to it. I read a lot of Eckhart Tolle and Alan Watts, just to help me find a foundation. And actually, this inspired me to go and become a rapid transformation therapy practitioner. Rapid transformation therapy is a form of deep subconscious reprogramming that uses hypnotherapy with a lot of concepts from psychotherapy and neuro-linguistic programming, usually known as NLP, as well as cognitive behavioral therapy, known as CBT, as well as child psychology, and some traditional healing methods, and some other sort of quantum healing methods, as they're called these days. Some of that is really seen as woo-woo, but what I understand now, looking back and how far I've come and what I've learned in sense, is that these are all ways of understanding our system, our body, our minds in a way that we can actually get down to some of this basic programming, some of the programming that happens in our brains, in our bodies before the age of 6, before the age of 7, and transform it so that we gain wisdom from it. And that's the big thing, because experiencing life causes pain. And a lot of us hold that pain, and it keeps us from taking steps because our bodies, our psychology, our neurobiology actually says, you know, if something causes pain, stay away from that. Don't broach it. Don't go towards it. That creates a fear associated with the pain. So my work now these days with the subconscious reprogramming and the branding is this idea that if we want to sit down and build your business, and we want to build it so that it is growing in the long term, then we know we need to create systems. If we want to create something that is sustainable, then we know that we need to have communication and reciprocity with customers to build something sustainable. And so we want to share the values, the base foundation of what that means for your business. And we create a brand around that. And then we create visuals that match that brand, and sometimes audio and video that matches that brand, that represents the values that you want to project into the world, that you want people to really associate with your business. And then, because a lot of people do that with marketing agencies, a lot of people build the websites with marketing agencies and advertising with marketing agencies, and then they feel hollow inside. With my work, we're building all of that stuff and getting it out into the world. We're creating that marketing, getting it out into the world to make your business successful. And we are getting inside of your brain, inside of your psychology, inside of this subconscious blocks, right? The familiarity with something that doesn't quite right. Sometimes that's imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's addictions. Sometimes it's other things that just challenge us to become the best that we can be. And we go in and we reframe those stories, just like the branding, just like the business, only it's inside of us, and it's using RTT to get in and change the stories that we're telling ourselves so that we release the pain from the experience. And we have an experience and we can release the pain from it. That creates wisdom. that creates an experience that we can gain knowledge from and acknowledge that gain, but not feel that pain anymore. And that's really what it's all about, because without that pain, with the knowledge and the wisdom, we can start appreciating life with the joy of the experience that it is without the fear. And that's what that subconscious reprogramming is all about. And what I find, honestly, is that when you present the brand through marketing and the business and all of those things in the way that I talk about, with communication, with reciprocity, with support, the business tends to start growing, because those things resonate with people's psychology. It's how they process. It's very, that we call it the lizard brain, the mammalian brain, right? It's these very limbic brain sort of processing. If you've read Start with Why by Simon Sinek, or with Seth Godin, like all of these things are very emotionally based on stature, on structure, on need, on pain. When we can solve those and communicate that and feel good from the inside out about doing that, then this is essentially enacting like the law of attraction, right? If you're gonna believe in that, you know, we build it for the business, we build it inside, and the energy of that growth, of that success, of that power, of that influence is exponential. And when you start living it and breathing it every single day and taking the steps forward in that way, it is exceptionally powerful. So Lior, what inspired me to start with this business? My life and this business is one track. It is everything that I have done and learned and grown, and I continue to learn and grow. It's everything I've experienced. I am putting it all together in what I call behavioral branding. Understand the psychology, the neuro programming, the physiology, the sometimes a little bit woo-woo way that the mind, the consciousness works, in conjunction with this intentional branding, making it look and feel and be the business, the brand that you intend to put into the world. I feel like it is just this synergy of amazing things, putting it into the world, making my clients the most successful that they can be. And if this is something that's interested you or anybody else watching this, you listen to this and you're like, wow, I'd like to learn more. The step that we always start with is called My Power Story. You can check it out on thinktankcreative.net. Scroll about halfway down and you can see the process. Click on My Power Story, learn more, and you can watch a video of exactly what it is. It really is just the 3 pillars of branding, and me sitting down one-on-one with you, probably over Zoom, and talking about your business and listening about your business and listening to your story and listening to the things that are said about yourself and your life, so that we can start to reframe that, so we can start to empower you in feeling and growth in every way possible. So Lior, I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much.